Should you move to Ealing? Let's go take a look. So we're here on Ealing Common, just outside of Ealing itself, which is just up that way. But before we head up to Ealing and go exploring, I want to show you something else down that way. So we're going to go and wrestle with the traffic and see if we can find something a little different. So let's go. I don't think I've really walked on this common much, because I never had reason to go in this direction. So it's my first time exploring it, so that's no bad thing. I want to go this way. We seem to have a cycle lane alongside the North Circular, or the A406, on the other side of the road. It's going to be hectic around rush hour, you know, those sort of times. Seems to be flowing alright at the moment. But carrying on down where it's going south from here, you can get onto the M4 motorway. So we have arrived somewhere, which could be interesting, because it looks like nothing. Right, here we have an ordinary looking house in the middle of Ealing, right here. But what this is actually the North Korean embassy. So we can see it here on this side with cameras everywhere. I'm filming them, they're probably filming me. A basketball court in the back, because of course the great leader loves a bit of basketball, as we know. Fascinating country. This is the back of the house. That's all we can see from here. So in 2003, the North Korean embassy was bought by North Korea for 1.3 million. It's a 7-bedroom property right here in Ealing. Looks very ordinary, nothing special, but there's a little plaque outside that tells you what they are. You wouldn't think North Korea would be represented here, would you? Turns out they are. 2014, there was an art exhibition here held to celebrate the arrival of 4 North Korean artists to the UK. I wonder how that went down. Who knows? And in 2017, a suspicious package was found outside the embassy, and the area was evacuated by the Metropolitan Police, who did a controlled explosion on it. It turned out to be nothing special, just a package. But I thought it was quite interesting, just the fact that we have the North Korean embassy right here in the Ealing area. And it looks so inconspicuous. All right, we'll do one more quick flyby and then I'm out of here. On to the next spot. Fascinating. All right, I'm going to turn around and head back up towards Ealing. There's a 2-lane cycle lane, so we're good to go. Here we go. All right, cutting across the common again. Straight through the middle this time in the diagonal. People out walking their dogs, doing all that fun stuff in the mornings. Good boy, stay there. As I get to get a bit of gravel in, well, can. So these grounds, what can I tell you? Well, we've got a few people living on them at the moment. But I always remember going past on the road up there, Uxbridge Road, the main road, certain times of the year, holiday times, you'd see a big fairground set up here. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that'll be next week. It's Easter next weekend. So all of this ground often gets totally filled up with either a circus or a fairground or, you know, all those sort of attractions. It's quite a common sight, it's quite well known. Oops. I thought it was going to be muddy. So as we head up towards the main road into Ealing, which would be Uxbridge Road, that's a major road that goes all the way from, I don't know, potentially Oxford, all the way into central London. I think this is Uxbridge Road, It's going to take us right into the centre of Ealing itself, just up ahead. So we're just coming into Ealing town centre now, just at the beginning of it. Memory serves me well. So there's some traffic lights here at Crossroads, and we can head up to Ealing train station. Where's this guy going? That was close. Teslas are great, but their indicators are tiny. You can hardly see them. You don't mind, do you? So we've got Ealing Broadway in front of me. It is so much bigger and smarter than it was when I was here. It was tiny when I was here. Nothing like this. This is completely different. It's had a major transformation. Ealing Broadway is on the Central Line, which is the red line. It takes you right into the middle of London, but also on the Paddington main line, going to Swansea and other places. So it's a pretty well-known stop. It's a good location in the west side of London, but it is quite a long tube journey in. I remember getting the Central Line in. Quite a long way if you're going very central. Right, let's head on to have a look around a bit more Ealing. Head out onto the green. See if that's anything like I remember. Lots of cycle parking. Yeah, this is coming back to me. This is the little green opposite the station. Very nice. Obviously a major transport hub again, not unlike Edmonton. Maybe a little bit nicer. Oh, that's a lot of buses down there. Wow. I think we should go around there one more time. Join the bus lane and hang a right up here. And then go past Ealing Central and back into town. Okay, round the roundabout, join the traffic and beat the traffic. That's why we're on a bike. Oh yeah. I'll stop the bus. They're everywhere. Man, major hub. Whew. He did. He saw me and he waved me through, in case you're wondering. Right, down onto the main high street. Ah, I'd go the right direction this time. Yeah, buses. All right, why am I on the inside of a bus like this? Because the light is red. So this bus isn't moving. That gives me time to get here. There you go, that's how I do it. It has literally been years since I've been here in Ealing. I used to come and use a photo print shop in the film days, just down here on the right-hand side. The guy working there, I don't know, I think he was Australian or something. He's got to know me so well. I was there all the time developing film. And still there. Snappy snaps, admittedly, but wow, how about that? Right. Gonna head off down to the left here. High Street carries on, but we're going this way. I once booked a holiday in there. That was to Egypt. That never happened. Long story. Come back to that maybe. I think there's an arcade here you can walk through. We'll see more of the High Street in a bit. The next stop on our little excursion is coming up. We're going to double back on ourselves in a minute and go and check something out. So the famous White House you see behind me was bought by Will Barker in 1902. He then showed the first screening of Hamlet in 1910, and that was the first of its kind. In 1938, Michael Balcon took over the studios, and in the 1930s and 40s, the studios made its name from the famous Ealing comedies, with people like Gracie Fields, Stanley Holloway, George Formby. The post-war era saw an explosion of the famous Ealing black comedies, with films like Whiskey Galore and The Lady Killers. So the BBC bought the Ealing Studios in 1955, and at its peak, there were 56 film crews working from here, making dramas and documentaries. Iconic BBC TV shows of the 1960s and 70s were also made here in this period, including documentaries and programs like Z-Cars, Colditz, Porridge, Monty Python, and Doctor Who. In 2000, the studios were taken over by a consortium of people who invested over 20 million in redevelopment, where they continued to host the best of British dramas like Downton Abbey, The Durrells, The Crown, films like The Darkest Hour and Bridget Jones. Ealing is the oldest continuously working studio facility for film in the world. So that's one for you, Hollywood. Ealing was first. How about that? Alright, I'm just going to stick the camera back on and see if we can have a little roll around so you can see what the front of it looks like and what the area is like around here. It's really quite nice, actually. It's got that really old village sort of feel about it. Those old Victorian houses, nice greens, things like this. It's generally quite a nice feeling place. You can sort of feel the history, very historic. Just going to see if I can be a little bit cheeky and just roll through the grounds a bit here, just so we can see the house from a bit closer up. Don't suppose they mind, people are filming here all the time. Thank you. Ealing Studios with its flags. And there's the blue plaque to Michael Balcom. 1896 to 1977, film producer. Nice people letting me out. Right, Ealing Studios, historic part of West London. Behind this Pitzhanger Manor building is Walpole Park. I'll tell you a bit about it when I get to it, but it's a nice spot. Again, look at these lovely houses around here. Ealing is quite a fancy place, I guess. Let's just nip in here and have a slow ride around. So more parks, like I said before. London, wherever you are, very well known for its very nice parks and gardens. And most places have something pleasant in the way of greenery that you can go visit. Nice building. Very nice. Okay, it's a kitchen garden, a walled garden. This is a walled garden that you can crawl around, walk around. Nobody crawl around it. Probably shouldn't be riding around it, so I'm just going to go slowly and then out down that gate. We've got raised flower beds. No doubt it's a kitchen garden for the cafe that's just there. I'm just going to pop out here. All good British parks need to have a bandstand. This one I can actually ride through the middle of. I don't know what it is, but it's certainly old. Kids play area, no ramps for me to play on this time. Not risking those ramps, look a bit too BMXy for my style. I'm just going to do a lap of the park and just show you what it looks like and what you could expect if you were to move to Ealing, you know. Come out here one day and find this lovely spot, think, this is for me, I'm going to stay here. So Pitzhanger Manor, later became Walpole Park, was bought by British architect Sir John Soane, who bought it in 1800. And he transformed the manor and he hired a landscape gardener to do the same to the grounds. It was eventually bought by Ealing District Council in 1899 for £40,000, which sounds now like it's incredibly cheap. You can imagine back then that was in the millions. Anyway, the manor became Ealing's public library and the site was vacated eventually in 1984. The building was then restored to its original condition as it was during Soane's time. A side building was converted to an art gallery, and in 1987 it gained English heritage status. It's a nice park. It's got a nice feel, lots of lovely old trees, and a very spacious feeling and atmosphere to it. From August 2013 to summer of 2014, the park was totally renovated and 2 new ponds were introduced. They replanted Regency-style flower beds. The ornamental bridge, designed and built by Sir John Soane, was also restored. Alright, I think we've seen enough of Walpole Park, lovely as it is. It's time to move on and explore a little bit more of Ealing. Let's see what else we can show you about the area. So we're approaching the main high street. This is just one of the side streets now, but in front of us on the left, both ways, we've got the high street, but we're going to turn left. Here we go. Yep. So we're heading out to the west. Here on the right hand side, with a nice big old building. I don't know what it is. Must be a town hall, maybe, something like that. Ealing Town Hall. Good guess. There's the council building. All the exciting stuff on this one. And lots of other big buildings. Right, so we're going to head somewhere really special right now. To me personally, anyway. And then after that, we're just going to go exploring and see what we can find. So this area that we're just coming into now is known as West Ealing. It just continues on along the Uxbridge Road, and you just keep going, because Uxbridge Road just keeps going for miles. And if you keep going along it, you come to West Ealing. It all kind of merging into one these days, as you can see. So it's a major high street going all the way along. This is it. All right. Well, so what's so special about this street? Well, let me tell you. Just up here on the left-hand side is a house, or a flat, that I'm familiar with. So this right here, let me show you. This here is called Melvin House, and I'd forgotten that name completely. That front door and that lower window, above it, you're looking at the middle window and the top windows, particularly that middle left window. That's what means something to me. So let me tell you, the strangest thing just happened. The strangest thing. A guitarist just went into that house, the flat that I used to live in. He looked a little bit familiar. There's no way he could still be living there 24 years later, is it? No way. Wow. Anyway, let's see if I can summarize this story quickly. In 1998, I was living in Swansea, South Wales. Packed a job in, went travelling, hit the road for 1 year, ended up being 2 years, long story. So when I came back, I needed somewhere to live. But I didn't really want to live in Swansea all over again. I wanted to change. So I had a friend who was living in London at the time, but he was there. And he said I could stay with him for a while. So we lived there, number 13, Melvin House, on Hartington Road. And he was a guitarist, and I was a guitarist. I was a bass guitarist, I still am. Just seeing a guitarist go in there, and he almost looked familiar. That was really weird. That really freaked me out. Anyway, he put me up there, and on that living room, how can I do that? Just there, I slept on the sofa there for about 2 or 3 weeks whilst I got myself together. I had a backpack with some clothes in, that was it. I had a living room to sleep on, and that was the start of my new life in London. And that was over 20 years ago. And I remember I used to come out and walk around the streets and go exploring. I didn't have much to do, so I'd go and check out the area. I went down to the street just down there, and there was a recruitment company called Fair Play Recruitment. And there was a lady called Melva Dawkins. Don't ask me why I still remember her name. Strange things happen. And she got me a temporary job. So I went and I started the job, and I got it. And I was doing that, and I was having some income. So then I went and got my own place. And that'll come in the next story. But for about 2 or 3 weeks, I slept on a sofa up there. And he had 2 flatmates, 2 females, 2 ladies. One was called Denny, and she was very nice. The other one's name I can't remember, and that's probably because she didn't like me very much. Because obviously I was sleeping on their sofa. So I used to make myself scarce in the evenings. And I would go down there to the Uxbridge Road and walk for miles all around this area, trying to find work, trying to get a job, get myself started in London, you know. It was a great time. But I also remember the very first night I slept on the sofa there was a car parked outside, a bit like this one is now, and I heard some voices and I heard people talking. They were talking for ages, like men's voices, talking. This is my first time in London. So I thought, what's going on? And the next thing, I heard the glass smash, and they'd smashed the window of a car, and they'd taken something from inside it. They were saying, get the laptop, get the laptop. Now, this was my first night in London. I thought, holy shit, what have I done? But obviously, you get used to it. I'd travelled the world by then, and I thought I could take on anything, so yeah. But London was hard. I had tough times when I was starting off. Well, that's another story. Alright, let's mosey on from Melville House for a bit. Some really nice houses in Ealing. It's a really big, spacious, green part of London with tree-lined avenues. It's gone, it's a building site. I think it was a Waitrose. I think it's the first Waitrose I ever came across. It is here, and it is a Waitrose. I was right. The old grey cells are still working. Just Gordon Road. Hang on a minute. Okay, so we're going to head down to a different part of West London next. Should be a little bit different to what we've got here in West Ealing. So let's see what it's all about. Well, that's it for part 1 of our Ealing adventure. Come back next week for part 2, when I go off-road and things get very tasty.